Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And this article came out roughly about a week ago, and I saw the video, and based on this, what came out of this interview, I kind of sat back and I took some notes and I tried to evaluate those notes, do additional research as to how can T-Mobile make the kind of claims that they're making. So just based on the title, T-Mobile's CEO says company is poised to dominate 5G for the next decade. That means 10 years. They're anticipating to dominate the entire 5G era. So I wanted to really take some notes and kind of break down what Mike Sievert was saying. And it really, when he goes on these interviews, it's not really him. It's all staged. He's had those remarks written prior, or somebody else within the company is writing those remarks for him, and he's just reading it off of a paper, a screen. He's reading those remarks off. I don't think that's him actually presenting anything in the media coming strictly from him. Those are either prepared remarks or somebody else is preparing those remarks for him. And for them to make that kind of statement, for some it'll be very confusing, because once again, AT&T and Verizon have spent significantly more during the LTE era. You just can't come in and just erase that lead or erase those investments with a lesser investment. T-Mobile is still spending less now than AT&T and Verizon and AT&T have spent very similar levels of money during LTE. And that doesn't just go into the upgrading the macro grid. We're talking DAS systems inside of airports, as I've displayed to you guys in a video not too long ago. So Verizon and AT&T have better indoor solutions. They just have better infrastructure overall. And that goes down to the core of the network. It's not just essentially looking at the network and saying, oh, it's a great network. There's a lot more that goes into it behind the scenes than people realize. And everything from the centralized units to the baseband units to the fiber that's laid, everything comes at a price, and everything comes with quality. And that's where T-Mobile has been cutting a lot of corners even during LTE. And in some cases, I've seen it in videos, and these were years ago videos, where they've admitted it to cutting corners, not spending a sufficient amount. Why? Because they couldn't. They just couldn't spend it. They just couldn't spend significant amounts to where it mattered enough for them to bring the same type of quality. And they knew it. And they knew that. That's why they market the way they do. That's why they advertise the way they do. Because they know they can't compete one for one with quality of network. They've said it in interviews in the past. They just can't do it. And now, just in a natural environment, as companies compete, it brings out the best in everybody. So T-Mobile is competing now with N41, and they're spending a good amount more than they did as a standalone, but not enough. I don't think it's enough. I think they need to spend more. But Mike Sievert said that they're going to get N41 out to 40% more of its tower grid this year, which that'll equal the 200 million that they want to reach by the end of year. And that's fine. I got no problem with that. But it brings competition. In some cases, it may even bring pressure to AT&T and Verizon. So what are they going to do? They're going to compete. Whether that's spending more money, getting government contracts, government subsidies, whatever, they're going to compete, and they're going to take back their spot. Whether it happens now, whether it happens with C-band, they're going to come in hot. And they're going to really display and show you what a true generational leap is on the 5G network. They're not just upgrading the existing grid anymore. They're adding in C-RAN small cells. They're building millimeter wave. They're going indoors with DAS systems. They're upgrading those DAS systems where they exist. And this goes for both Verizon and AT&T. They're grinding right now. They're going through the grind. So the millimeter wave work, essentially getting approval, building them, getting, the local zoning, dealing with certain neighborhoods that don't want the small cells there, having to fight that in court. They are grinding. They have to go through that process. And then once it's built, it may take a little time, but it's going to pay off in the long term. I think the 5G versus LTE is completely different. With LTE, you were fine with building the macro grid early on and putting low band on it. You didn't have to really grind to that too much because you didn't need the densification. Early on, it was still voice. Yeah, you needed a little bandwidth because people were streaming more, but it was fine. And then as you went along throughout LTE, you started building more macros. And then, of course, that built in more densification. Now, 5G is different. It's really data-based, heavy, intensive streaming. So now you have to embrace the grind to get small cells, to get the small cells through approval, to get DAS systems upgraded. That takes additional approval with the airports. Some airports, you may have to build new fiber links. So it's the grind right now. You do that early on. You get that out the way. So in year 3, 4, and 5 of 5G, then you can transition to, to building more macros or whatever else the case may be. But right now, you want to embrace the grind. And that's something that T-Mobile has not yet embraced. They're essentially building, again, a existing tower grid of theirs, which is the Anchor network that was built for T-Mobile standalone market share. They are now enduring the entire Sprint market share with the same infrastructure. Yes, they're adding more bandwidth, but people are sending me messages daily. The towers are slowing down. That's going to happen. A sector could have had, and that same sector now has 40, 60, 80, maybe 100 megahertz of N41. That's fine. But that same sector now could be, was handling, let's say, 1,500 to 2,000 customers. Now that could be 5,000, 6,000, maybe even more customers, and maybe even home internet pulling from that same sector. So that bandwidth is going to get clogged very quickly. And that's where the densification kicks in. So you build another site to offload that sector. And that's something that T-Mobile has not embraced yet. They're just running through their existing grid, which they said they would do, but they have not yet really embraced the small cell grind. They don't talk about it. It's very limited to what we're hearing. Essentially, I don't count strand mounts as effective official small cells for the next generation. Strand mounts, they'll likely remain LTE. It's hard to upgrade them. So essentially, T-Mobile could be building another 10, 15,000 actual C-RAN small cells that come with millimeter wave. And other than that, that's going to be it. They're talking about being mostly macro-centric. They want macros only. That's what Neville Ray speaks of. So, again, I don't think that's the right strategy. I think AT&T and Verizon will be better suited. I think they're going to explode with the C-RAN small cells. They're already showing indications of that. Verizon will be at 30,000 at the end of this year. Those are millimeter wave nodes only. They have 30, 40,000 likely already of LTE small cells up across the US. They will strengthen and deepen their footprint. The C-band is just icing on the cake at this point. The C-band is coming in hot too. They're going to deploy that very, very, very insanely over the next several years. It's going to hit the top 46 PEAs now by the end of 22. I think that they're going to touch most of the PEAs. And then 22 and on, they're going to start building out in the markets where the second half of the spectrum clears. So again, I just want to ask if you really think that T-Mobile is poised to lead an entire decade of a technology that Verizon and AT&T are spending more on. That's just all I'm asking. I don't care how efficient you get. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how you pull it off. Verizon and AT&T are going to double your infrastructure footprint in the next several years. And you just think you're going to lead. That's going to backfire. And owner economics of fiber will kick in too. Verizon and AT&T are deepening that footprint as well with that investment. So that's something that T-Mobile will be stuck with. Is there a cap for T-Mobile? Maybe they say 10 gig is enough that we're willing to pay for. I'm hearing Verizon and AT&T will go to 25 gigs on their backhaul on the sites. That alone will give them faster speeds. So again, I'm just asking, will T-Mobile lead an entire decade of a technology that they're spending less on? That's all I'm asking. So let me know all that in the comment section down below. Look forward to reading your comments. If you have been on the channel or you're new to the channel and you have not yet liked, share, subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.